Hey, it's me, Faye, and I want to tell you something personal to me today. In the last couple of years, I've been on a journey to explore within myself and my relationship with the outside world. And it's brought me to the concept of Oneness Stories. What is oneness? Oneness is a space where people get to share their multifaceted stories. It is a space without a niche. It is a space where people's work, achievements, or selling points don't really matter. And it is a space where we can just be. Why, you might ask? Because there's something magical about realizing that every individual has a layer of stories within them. Because our stories have the power to connect us. And because maybe when we're all stripped of the external things, we're one of the same. In a world obsessed with extraordinary, I want to find magic in the ordinary. Oneness is my heart's cry for authenticity. And it is my way of celebrating those moments when we can truly connect. So, this is the start of the journey. My name is Faye. I am originally from Hsinchu, Taiwan, and I now live in Los Angeles, California. I came here when I was 18 years old for college. I went to school in Taiwan up until high school. So I think the high school life in Taiwan is very different. It was very group focused, where we all had to see the national flag raised every day in the morning. The lifestyle was very collective as far as school life goes. Growing up, my parents always told me that I was someone who liked to read. A kid who would just be in the corner and just read a book, and just someone who always loved to ask questions, like someone who always asked why. And later on, going into adolescence, I became conflicted or rebellious, if you will. That's why my mom always said, "Oh, you were such a nice kid," but somewhere along the line, when I turned teenager, I just got really troublesome in their eyes. My relationship with my parents were interesting. I think in middle school, it was probably the hardest time of our relationship, because that was a time when I started to kind of develop my own identity and started to really question a lot of rules or regulations imposed by authority figures. If I were to be disciplined and I didn't feel like there was a good enough reason, then I would question it, as I always like to ask why. But I've always been someone who just, I don't know, I guess the reason being a rule just isn't good enough for me, because rules are man-made and rules change all the time. And I think I like to challenge that a lot. So that caused a lot of tension in our relationship. I think at some point I was also rebelling because I felt like they were never gonna understand me and I them. And then I feel like that's not just my parents, it's our parents' generation. How they're treating you as a kid, a lot of time is a projection of their own emotion. A lot of time they just don't, they don't say how they feel. But the thing is, if they didn't tell us how they were feeling as kids, a lot of time it's very confusing for us. It's like, why are you saying these things to me or showing anger or irritation without telling me why? And the thing is, I do understand now that I've grown up and, being able to look at things from their perspective, that really they were just trying their best. And they probably also had a lot going on in their personal lives as well. But as a kid, I became very observant to people's emotion, because I always had to sort of tiptoe at home, right? Because I didn't want to get in trouble. I think I lied a lot to get away with things. I think somewhere along the line, they realized that whatever they were doing probably wasn't working, especially with my personality, because I just wasn't. My default isn't always to obey, and then they realized they had to kind of talk to me like an adult, and that's what they did. My parents told me that, hey, no matter what you do, I just want you to be honest with us, and we'll always forgive you and we'll always love you. but bottom line is we need you to be honest. And then I think ever since then I became like a horrible liar, because I just feel like I'd rather be honest and get punished than lying and kind of get caught in this uncomfortable space. And then also I moved to the States when I was 18. So I think the distance definitely made me appreciate the things that my parents used to do for me. You know, it was kind of a popping the bubble sort of moment where I had to grow up. And I think the distance definitely helped our relationship. Even though I miss them all the time and I do want to spend more time with them, I think that kind of helps them trust me more, because they see that me being independent is proving to be effective, and they have more respect for me. And I think the relationship definitely improved. I was really an angry kid. I would say I had a lot of anger, and to the outside world, I don't really get angry anymore, because I feel like I have let out a lot of my anger during my teenage years, and there were a lot of incidents where it was pretty extreme. My reaction to the environment were pretty dramatic, to say the least. And not to undermine me being a teenager and then the hormonal imbalance and everything that was happening to me, but I think I really got it out of my system. So I think that's why people say that I'm chill or I seem to be very easygoing. It's not that I pretend to be. A lot of time I just don't really care. The advice I want to give would be, it's okay to feel angry, and it's okay to feel hurt and misunderstood. I will always love you. And I want to say that to myself, because I felt like as a kid growing up in Asia, we don't really ever hear our parents telling us they love us. And like they kind of show their love with action rather than words. And so they do things for you, and they make sure you're fed and have roof over your head, and and just to kind of have that support for you whenever you need it. But I think the teenage me really just wanted to hear that, I understand you. Like, it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to have those emotions, and I don't want you to suppress them. I want you to accept that these emotions are a part of you, and as long as you're not hurting someone else, then it's okay. There's one near drowning experience that I have had that I still think about to this day. Meaning, like, sometimes I'll think about it and I'll like start shivering up. What happened was that we were cave diving in Croatia, and me being sometimes a little bit overconfident in myself, I think I jumped into the cave without a life jacket or without the fins, to help me pedal. And we were snorkeling. You have the full headset and you're floating on the water and you're kind of going with the wave. And we went into the cave. It's kind of like a bowl shape sort of cave. And when the wave goes in, reach the end of the cave, it started coming back out. So it was really, really wavy in there. And then the water was very kind of aggressive. And when I got in there, what happened was water started coming into my headset. So I was trying to open the goggle and then let the water out. At the same time, I'm like pedaling down there while the wave is like throwing me around. When I was trying to fix the goggle, I started drinking water, and that's when I started freaking out a little bit, right? And I was trying to call my friends, and they looked back the first time, and I think I was doing something like this, and I think they thought that I meant I'm okay, and they kind of just kept going. That's the moment when I was like, shit, I could die here today. This is the day that I might fucking drown. And as you freak out, your body start tensing up, and it was just a very, very scary moment. Luckily, my friends looked back again because she thought that something was off with me. And then the second time they looked back, I start like waving and I start screaming like, hey, like come back. And that's when Clara and Jonathan, who are both really great swimmers, they came back, and then they saved me. And even now, thinking about that moment, just thinking about them coming back to save me made me really emotional, because I felt like, yeah, I wouldn't be here today. So yeah, so I owe them my life. I'm someone who loves ocean activity, and I think I used to be a little bit reckless about it. But ever since that incident, I've been a lot more cautious, meaning I'll make sure I have all the right gears. If it's somewhere where I feel unsafe, then I wouldn't easily just jump into the water just cause. What I'm most excited to give would be my loyalty. If I love someone, I do. And I feel like I'm someone who is very emotionally transparent. Again, I don't lie. My honesty is one thing that I will always be able to provide. And I'm someone who have full range of emotions. And I think that's something that I'm excited to give, but maybe on the receiving end, not so much. But I still feel like that's my strength. That's something I'm very excited to give, and to kind of just be the full version of myself. And if I do decide to love someone, I would accept them for the full version of themselves. Even though that sounds idealistic, but I think I do accept people I love, relationship or friendships or my families. I think I just kind of love them for who they are, the good, bad, and ugly. I like to see all of it. And then if I feel like someone is showing me a big part of it, then I would give that back in return. I've always been someone who is eager to help. I feel like I probably got it from my mom because she's also a giver. She likes to be helpful, and then as a result, people come to her for advices and for suggestion and things that she could help with all the time. But I think me having that helpful nature sometimes could backfire. Because one thing I do realize is that everyone has their own pace and their own journey in their lives. And people may tell me about their struggles in their life. It's not because they're trying to have me fix them. They're really just seeking support. And that's something that I've come to terms with, is that unless they're actively asking for help, then your help is probably not wanted or needed. I think that's also a form of self-protection, because I feel like I've extended a lot in the past, and sometimes that backfires into a not so optimal situation. I think I value someone who I can have a good conversation with. And even though I know it can be hard sometimes, I value a friend who can be vulnerable and be honest with me, so that I could know how to be there for them. When you become an adult and then you meet new people, you talk about jobs, you talk about money, you talk about material things, and then sometimes I feel like it's very rare where you get to have a conversation where you can be stripped of these external things and just to feel close to someone. And I think I do very value that if I had a friend like that. And even though I know that everyone has their own baggages, but if they could be honest with me, that would be pretty sweet. I think in my past friendship, the friends that stuck around the most really are the friends that had the most emotional transparency with me, because that's kind of how I am with other people as well. We both feel like we can be ourselves and be there for each other. And those are the friendships that I really value. I mean, I cry almost every day. I'm a crier. If I watch something sad, if I watch something happy, a lot of time I get overwhelmed by my emotions and I start crying. I just cry all the time. But I think the last time I actually did full on cry was a couple days ago. I've been having a problem with my hip, and I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis, which means that my joints are degenerating, and it's been bothering me, and it hurts as I walk and stuff, and something triggered me crying. But the reason why I was crying was really because of me kind of facing my own fear, especially me being a dancer and being immobile, and having that pain in my hip really forced me to face that. I might be in pain for the rest of my life. And I think that's why I kind of lost it and I started crying. I just felt really desperate. Especially osteoarthritis isn't something that can get better. I mean, I think you have to get some sort of therapy, as in like injections or stem cells or whatever, but it's not something that will get better on its own. Yeah, so I think it was just me mourning for my youth, I guess. Going into 30s, my body started acting up here and there. My back hurts all the time, and my hips started having issues, and I get rashes and allergic reactions and just random heart palpitations. But I mean, after crying, you still gotta get up and keep going. I think the last time I was very proud of myself, where I felt like it, deserved a celebration, was when I decided to turn my notice and to quit my last 9 to 5 to pursue my passion in making videos about human. Because I've been in corporate for such a long time, and it's such a comfort job where I know what I'm doing and it pays the bill. But I think in the back of my mind, I've always known that that's not something that I want to do forever. At the same time, I was exploring this new endeavor, and it's really hard to kind of handle both at the same time. So I had to make the decision to quit my last job and to jump head in. And I was really proud of myself for that decision, even though I was really, really scared because, bills still gotta get paid. But the moment I turned in my notice, I felt really a sense of relief, and I was really proud of myself. And then it's not the first time, honestly, because I've done that in the past. But the circumstances has changed a bit, and I think this time it feels like I have a lot more to lose, but I did it anyways, because most of my major life decisions has been me following my intuition, even though at the time didn't seem like logical, but like my sixth sense just guides me to the direction. I have accumulated enough experience in the last however many years to know that I will be okay. We can adjust our lifestyles. I can go drive Uber. There are always ways to make money, and I don't want to be defined and be stuck in something that has been making me feel trapped for such a long time. And so that was liberating. Also, life is too short, and I just feel like, if not now, when? I'm 35 this year, and luckily our current responsibility enable me to be able to make that decision for myself. And I just want to kind of take advantage of it while I still can, because who knows what's going to happen in a couple of years, and who knows if I'm going to be in the position to be able to do that for myself. But I do hope that I can always do this no matter how old I am. Like, if I can, I want to be able to quit something and to start something new again when I'm 50, 55, 60. That's kind of a aspiration I have for myself, is that I should always be able to start something new if my instinct calls for it. When I was in elementary school, I had those comic books at home. I wanted to make some cash. So what I did was I had listed the whole set of comic books on Yahoo Bid so that I could sell the comic book to get some money. I think they were not even my comic books. They were my sister's comic books. She left it at home. So I just thought, they're just sitting here, so I'm just gonna sell them and get some money. So I listed them on Yahoo Bid. Someone bought it, and what happened was I just shipped the entire set of manga to that person. And a week or two later, I received an envelope with cash in it, with coins, along with a note that says, next time when you sell something, make sure you collect the money first before you ship the item. They could have just not sent the money and just kept the manga. But I think knowing a stranger had the integrity to keep their end of the bargain, and even nice enough to leave a note to let them know that, hey, this is something you should watch out for next time. I think that has made an impact in my life. I think I've always been someone who takes care of people. I think I want to hear that I'll take care of you from whoever. Just be like, I got you. Like, don't worry. And I think I've always been someone who's been there for others, but there are times where I don't really feel like it's reciprocated, even though I don't do things just to expect things in exchange. But I think it'll be really nice to hear from someone that they've got my back and they're there for me. And sometimes I think if maybe that's something that my mom also likes to hear, because my mom is someone who just does things for everyone all the time, and she's probably tired. And I want to be able to tell her that, hey, I'm here for you. Hey, like we've got you, and don't worry. I think that will also help her relieve a lot of mental stress. I would say I am a fighter. I still have quite a lot where I feel like what I can do for the world, for things that I believe in. And I would also say I'm a softie, even though I'm a fighter. But I think I tend to empathize with people, and I am very sensitive to people's emotion. I also can be very understanding. And then the third word would be open-minded, I think. I'm not someone who's afraid to change my mind. Like, I see the world in different shades of gray rather than black and white. I don't really believe in the truth being one way or the other. I think the truth is relevant to the person who perceives it. And then, of course, I'm not exempt from that. I have my own truth, but I also understand that other people have their own truth. So I am someone whose mind can be changed with new perspective, or the way I see the world could be changed with new facts presented to me. So I think I'm not someone who believes one way or the other. I'm just constantly adjusting and constantly changing. But I also do believe that certain principle of my personality is also pretty strong. So I think I try hard to be in a space where I know who I am, but at the same time, I'm also adjusting along with the world, just so I'm not living in my own bubble.